another sanctuary in American Samoa called the National Marine Sanctuary of American Samoa, which is the largest sanctuary in our system. We are part of the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries, which is under NOAA. You all know what NOAA is, as you've heard of the Weather Service. Well, we're not the Weather Service. We're the National Ocean Service, one of the 5 line offices in NOAA. And our mission is the protection and management of America's water and air. Water, oceans. That also includes lakes and rivers, and not just salt water. We have 14 sites in the Office of National Marine Sanctuaries. 13 of them are sanctuaries, one of them is the monument, which I've already mentioned. And those sites go from Stellwagen Bank on the east coast off of Boston Harbor to the site of the Monitor off of North Carolina. The Monitor was the Civil War ironclad that sank in a storm, and they discovered that site 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and that was the first National Marine Sanctuary, and it protects a square mile around the wreck of the Monitor. And then down to South Carolina for the Grays Reef National Marine Sanctuary, which is an offshore hard bottom area off of South Carolina, and then down to the Florida Keys. And the Florida Keys Sanctuary goes from the northern portion of the Florida Keys out to the Dry Tortugas. It includes portions of the Dry Tortugas National Park. Then as you go around the map, in the Gulf of Mexico is the Flower Garden Banks National Marine Sanctuary, and that's in the Gulf of Mexico, about 300 miles off the shore of Galveston is where the offices are. And they are banks, underwater banks, that are out there, and this is right in the middle of oil field country, so a lot of them are right near large oil rigs out there, and they have coral reef, some of the most northern coral reef areas in the U.S., and hard bottom areas that are on these salt mounds that kind of come up through the bottom of the Gulf. Around California, we've got Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary around the Channel Islands, which are off of Santa Barbara. Going up, there's Monterey National Marine Sanctuary, which is another very large sanctuary off of Monterey. And then into San Francisco, off of San Francisco is the Gulf of the Farallones National Marine Sanctuary, which are islands out of San Francisco Bay. And then a little farther west is Cordell Bank National Marine Sanctuary, when these are banks, offshore banks, actually ocean banks, that are protected, have some reef, I guess that is pretty, that's not tropical coral reefs, northern reefs. And then up to the Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary, which is the northwest corner of the U.S., and then out to Hawaii. Those are all of our sites. All of those sites do different things. Some of them protect ships. Oh, I forgot one. Sorry. Our one non-saltwater site is Thunder Bay in Lake Huron in Michigan, and that is a shipwreck site. Thunder Bay is an area where there are a lot of shipwrecks. Very dangerous area for sailing ships, and there are literally hundreds of shipwrecks down there. And we protect a small portion of that area. Well, actually not that small. So that protects the shipwrecks themselves and the things that live around it. The other shipwreck site I already mentioned was the Monitor. We're the only site that has a single species. That's all we do. It's humpback whales. That is probably going to change. Right now, the site is having a management plan review, which is something that sites do periodically. They go out to the public and say, how are we doing? And we have lots of meetings with the public, and the public tells us, you're doing great, or, well, not so good. And lots of public opinion, gather all that public opinion. We write a draft management plan, it goes out again to the public, they say what they like, what they don't like about it. Some of it's been quite emotional in some areas in Hawaii that either are very strongly for or very strongly against some of the things that are being proposed in this new management plan. What will happen if the management plan does go through, and chances are pretty good that it will go through in some form, we don't know quite what that will look like, either sometime next year, is that we will go from a single species to an ecosystem managed site, so it'll do everything. But the focus will be on protected species like marine mammals, including seals and turtles and coral reefs. So that's what we're looking forward to. There's a little bit of boundary changes that'll happen, not a lot, and there'll be some special management areas that'll have some management focus on it to keep the areas that have specific problems that we want to single out and do a better job of keeping those resources protected. So then, in our sanctuary here, this is the only place where we have a Hawaiian fish pond. This fish pond is about 400 years old. Over 500 years. And if you were here 15 years ago, you wouldn't see this wall at all. It would look like, look where the break is out there, it would look like that. That is actually another wall, a much larger fish pond. This whole South Shore, from about here down, had fish ponds all along it that were managed by the families that lived in these ahupua'a around from the mountains. Y'all know what ahupua'a are, right? So this ahupua'a is Ka'auna, and the stream that feeds it is right over here, about 200 yards over that way. We often have, and it comes from Kula, that Kula area, drains that whole area. So when it's really raining up there, we get brown water down here. All part of that concept of watershed and how important it is. There's been a lot of development up through Kihei along that watershed, and that development has degraded the ability of the watershed to filter out what's coming down in rainwater in the stream. So when you get a big flood event, a lot of water coming down, it's dragging all the dirt, dragging all the crap, the dead pigs, everything, and it comes out in here. So when you see brown water, don't go in it. It's not good. Bacterial levels go through the roof. And Robin knows because she does water quality. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with what Robin does for us, but she heads our water quality program. We do a little bit of water sampling along South Kihei here, and she knows when those brown waters hit, everything goes off the charts. It's not safe to be in that water. A lot of staph, strep, you get a lot of skin. If you got a cut, you're going to get a bad infection. So people should not be in the water. So this fish pond, the restoration of this fish pond is a community effort. It's been headed by Himokeo Kapahiahua, who is actually an amazing person. I call him our Hawaiian Superman. He's also started a couple of canoe clubs here. You know, really vital person for our community. And he decided let's restore this and get it going again. So what they've found out over the last 12 years they've been restoring this fish pond, more than that, probably 15, is that this is a dynamic process that never ends. You put the rocks up, they get knocked down. And so you see this gentleman out here, that's his job, to put the rocks up. He's out there almost every day doing it. You get a storm event, tsunami, and those rocks come right back out again. And so what you have then is these rings of rocks underneath the water, like you're seeing out here where that break is. This pond is about 3.3 acres. That one is 10 times the size. This particular pond was just for the elite, so your average folk could not go in and take fish from this pond. The type of pond that this was is lokaia, and it's they don't have permission from the county to actually close this off and make it a real working fish pond. But the gate doesn't close anything off, but you know, if they've had another gate in one of these two openings, that would not be permitted. They had to get a permit from the county. At the time, it was just an arduous process, but they just recently streamlined the fish pond permitting, so it's going to be easier to have fish ponds, new fish ponds built or rebuilt, since most of them are already here. And have you gone in, if you had the fish pond unit yet? You have, so you know there are different types of fish ponds. Hawaii is really, Hawaiians were innovators in terms of building and making different types of fish ponds, recognizing that this is a great way to get, easy way to get fish. And it works. Unfortunately, this one won't. But we do see a lot of people fishing out here. So we do, and if you go in, there's a lot of fry. You also see, you can see some turtles out there on the wall. This has become a nice, a favorite place for a few turtles to come in and sit during the day. Just to the left of where that guy is, there's one, and then just one to the left of it. When I came in this morning, there were 4 of them out there. And apparently in the evening, this is a resting area for turtles that come out. This is actually a rather new phenomenon for turtles on Maui. They didn't used to come out like they do now. I mean, you can go to places around the island, which I won't mention, because you're not supposed to go there. And you'll get 20 turtles coming out at night and hanging out on the beach. It's become a bit of a problem because everybody does know where they are, and people go there and disturb them. And turtles are protected species, even though we've got lots of them now. There was a time not long ago where there weren't many of them, and that might be one of the reasons why they didn't come out and rest on the shore. But they do now, and they come out in numbers sometimes. I understand they come out here, but I haven't been here in the evening, so I haven't seen it. But they certainly do use the wall. Every once in a while, and it's been a while, over a year at least, we'll get a monk seal call out on the wall too. And when we do, it's more than just yelling at people get away from the turtles, because monk seals are critically endangered. There's only a couple hundred of them left. 300?
About 1,100 total, but
down here.
More than 200 here.
Yeah, right. So every monk seal birth is celebrated. The reason they're not doing well is not necessarily anything that we're responsible for. There's no reason, no way to prove that, but the pups are not thriving. So they have pups, but the pups aren't living for some reason. They're not getting enough food or something. And most of the pupping happens up in western Hawaiian Islands. There's a lot more competition up there now than there was before, because the fishing has pretty much stopped up there. There's only, I think, a few fisheries that are still permitted up in there. And they were grandfathered in after everything was settled with the monument. But there's a lot more sharks than there were, so a lot more competition for the food up there that the pups would also be trying to eat. We don't know why they're not thriving, but they're not. I don't know if you heard the news, but there was an abandoned one that was found this week, and they sent it to the Big Island because they've got a place down there to rehabilitate them. So what do we do here at this site? As I said, our focus is humpback whales primarily, but as you already heard, we do water quality. We also, our volunteers are also part of the Turtle Response Network, and our volunteers take care of any turtles that die or strand. If they're injured, sometimes they'll come in injured. Along the beach here, people will call us, or actually not us, but there's a pager number to call, and someone will respond to go out, and if the turtle's dead, bring it in here, we measure it, take a lot of information on it, bag it up, put it in a freezer. When we get full freezer, we send it back to Oahu, where they do necropsies on them to determine what killed them. Sometimes it's obvious because they've got big chunks taken out of them. They are food for tigers, and so sometimes you'll see them with bits cut off. Sometimes you'll see them out there still alive, and they'll have a flipper missing or part of the shell. See a nice little cut out of it, and that's probably from shark, probably tiger shark. If they're injured, and it looks like we can save them, we will also send them to a waffle where they try to rehabilitate them and release them later. So we do have efforts for our protected species here. NOAA is actually the lead agency for that, but not our office. It's our National Marine Fisheries Service that takes care of those animals. The other thing that we do is we have, and you've probably heard about this in the news, when a humpback whales will sometimes get entangled in things, get entangled in line, get entangled in nets. Very often they'll get entangled up in Alaska where they feed during the summer, and in a fishing net, and they can't get loose. So a lot of times they just are able to get it off of them, and they'll play in it, or they'll get caught in it some other way, and they'll drag it all the way down here, 2,500 miles, 3,000 miles. They're sometimes dragging hundreds of feet of line wrapped around critical areas, like through the mouth, or around the flip, or around, anywhere. We've seen it everywhere, around the tail. And there's an exhibit in there that explains a lot of this in more detail. There is a network throughout the areas in the U.S. where these animals are found. They're in Alaska in the summer, and there's a network up there. They come down here in the winter and down California side, and there's a network over there, and we have a network here. And the lead for the network in the Pacific Islands is Ed Lyman, who's in our office. He's actually sitting upstairs right now. And if we get a call, usually the call comes from a vendor. Somebody's got a whale watch tour out, and they see a whale with a buoy or line that it's trailing, and they'll call in. There's a number to call. They all know it. They call us. They let us know where it is. We say, can you stay with it? Because they're really easy to lose them, and it's like a needle in a haystack finding them again. We can mobilize quickly. We have a boat. We have all the gear. Call up a few people to come and help. We can get out there in an hour and a half. A lot of times, the whales are concentrated out around in the Lahaina Channel there. So often that's where we get our calls. So we can get out there in an hour and a half and be on it. Sometimes the vendors will say, okay, we're done, and another guy will come, okay, we'll take over now, so that we can find that whale. And if that all works out, and we do find the whale, Coast Guard will help too. They'll send their boat out looking for it, and they'll sit on it until we get out there. First thing we do is assess it, see where the wraps are, and how bad it is, and what we might be able to do, and then as soon as possible, we'll throw a grapple into the mess that's around it, the line if we can, if there's something dragging behind it, and that will be attached to a line that has a radio beacon on it, so that if we aren't able to cut that stuff off that day, we can find it again. Sometimes at that point it is late in the day and we can't do anything, so we'll come back the next day assuming that the water conditions are good. Sometimes it'll be 2 or 3 days because of the water conditions. We'll go back out, again reassess. We've got cameras in the water, people looking from above. Where can we make the fewest cuts to get the most line on, or all of it on? What type of behavior is the animal exhibiting? Is it skittish? Is it aggressive? Well, we don't want to go near a 30-foot whale that might be mad at us. That's not too safe. So, those are the kinds of considerations we have, what are the water conditions like, lots of stuff they have to consider. Assuming all the things are good, we'll get a boat in the water, they'll go out, and they'll get the cameras in the water where can we cut, make those cuts, everything falls off, and the whale swims away happy. That is like a dream scenario. It hardly ever happens that way. Once in a while, though. But we have disentangled a lot of whales. I think we're up to around 30 right now.
22.
Oh, okay. 22. Thousands of feet of line, and we've got some of it sitting in there you can take a look at. So that's the other thing we do, the rescue and response. Then we have an education program, and we right now, because we're in this management plan push, we've been less focused on some of our other programs, like our science and our we do Humpback-Whale health assessment as well. So that's the other thing we do with the grants. Education programs we do in the schools, or schools will come here, like you guys. And we also have a lot of outreach programs that our volunteers do, and we'll go to events. We have an outreach table at Maui Ocean Center, for example, every Monday during whale season. So, and actually not just during whale season, talking about other things. So these are some of the things that we do. And is there anything?
We will cover them.
Yeah, okay. What I'd like to do is just walk you through the visitor center, and I'm going to actually turn that over to Robin, because that's her job. She'll give us a short tour of the visitor